Welcome to a special little episode of Haunt Talk. This one's going to be a shorter one. This is not a full review, but we recently went back to Nightmare Cleveland to do the Touch Pass. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we both got a Nightmare. Yeah, you know, the first time we were there, I didn't realize how freaking awesome the shirts were, because this is, like, the Guardian from, like, the bridge that's on, like, the Cleveland thingy-me-do, and it's holding a little jack-o'-lantern, and he's all evil-looking, and I noticed that when they posted online, I'm like, I'm going to buy that, and then I did. So yeah, we knew we wanted to go back again because we didn't get to do the Touch Pass the first time, and we've been doing a fair amount of coverage. We've done the preview and then the actual review, and this isn't going to change. Our experience with the Touch Pass, I will say, doesn't change, I don't think, any of the ratings except for maybe Scare Factor.
Yeah.
Scare Factor always is never really factored into the overall rating, though, because, again, you can be a really good haunt and be really not scary, or vice versa.
Yeah.
But we just really wanted to kind of talk about the Touch Pass, because it really seems like that is kind of like something that a lot of people have been discussing online about the place, and we had even some people say in the review that they didn't think it was as good of value if you don't do the Touch Pass. I do kind of disagree. Now, I do think, spoiler alert, that is a lot more fun to do the Touch Pass, but I still think it's a great haunt, even if that's not something you want to do, because not everyone's going to want to be touched.
Yes.
So I will say it's similar to Chippewa, but the thing with Chippewa is, and again, if you're for some reason watching this and haven't seen the other stuff, Chippewa and Nightmare Cleveland are like the same owners and stuff, which is why we compare the two a lot. But with Chippewa, because it's quite a bit longer of a haunted house, because Chippewa's about 20 to 25 minutes, and this one's somewhere between like 12 to 15 for most people, is at Chippewa, they don't all touch you, they don't all grab you, because it's such a long haunt, they kind of feel like if it was just constant being grabbed, it'd be too much. Where this one, since it's shorter, well, yeah.
Grabby McGrabbertons!
Yeah, pretty much everyone's just getting you.
I don't even know how to start, because it was literally like, in the gate, we got attacked. Like, we were, no, I'm sorry, we weren't even in the queue line yet.
Fair. No, we weren't.
And we were getting, like, touched by a couple characters, and it pretty much started as soon as they said, okay, go ahead.
As soon as we put like the necklace on, I was grabbed by the back of the neck and told to get the F in there and kind of shoved forward. And now we did go, because when we did for the normal review, it was just me and Kim. We did bring, I don't have any footage or anything, but Cam and Isaac, the same people that we took to us when we went to, Ghoul Brothers in Chippewa, actually. Yeah. Because they were really into the Touch Pass at Chippewa, so we really wanted to get their experience as well. And I think we all agree that this place, in my opinion, was overall a bit freakier and a bit more intense as far as the touching goes.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that freaked me out the most is we talk about this in the normal review, there's a lot of actors that have syringes. With, like, some have, like, retractable needles, and they're not real needles, and some, like, don't have any needles at all, but most of them are going to try and get you with them. And even though I know that no one's going to stab me, there's this inherent fear that I found out about myself of people coming at me with needles.
Yes.
To the point where I just, like, kind of go like this and start squealing.
Yes. I was joking with some people, and I said that I basically got all the boosters that I ever need.
Yeah.
Because I got poked with all the needles that were in the building at Nightmare Cleveland.
Yeah, there's at one point, because, like, not everyone that had the needle would come after all of us. One of them, like, I was going like this to protect my neck, and so she literally just put it in my ear. That freaked me out a lot. It might have just been my ear low, but, I mean, she didn't hurt me or anything. But one of them, there was, like, this corpse of one of the creatures on the table, and he was going and extracting whatever is in him, and then he'd run over and, like, stab us to inject us.
He actually grabbed me and put me next to that creature, so I like literally, like, my face was like this close to this monstrosity, and he extracted something and then put it in my neck, and I'm just like, cool, I'm a bug now.
I'm gonna say it felt like almost a different experience, honestly.
Yeah,
because, like, they were really intimidating about it, and, like, the boo pedals especially, because this is the first haunt I've done that uses a decent amount of those boo pedals mixed with touching, so they hit it, so you get that real, like, intense, loud jump scare, and then instead of them just going like this at Halloween Horror Nights, they continue and grab you. I mean, there was a one point where Isaac was in the group, and like this guy comes out dead-eyed and literally leaps, jumps, and just tackles him against a wall, and I'm like, holy crap!
I got to see the decision making by the scare actor because he originally was coming at me, and he saw Isaac, and he saw him in his peripheral, and he just turned and just went right at him. It was actually kind of entertaining. It was like I was just like,
yeah.
Oh.
One of the freakiest moments that I had happen to me is this is a hallway and it's like backlit, and there's this lady, and I don't know if her nails were just long or if she had like those little like things that like you wear on your fingers to kind of make them pointed. But she was standing there and just clicking them against the wall, and all you could see was a silhouette. And she kind of got the one girl, but then she came up behind me and grabbed me by the neck. Now, she wasn't hurting me, not like I described in Blood Prison, where I was literally getting scratched last year. But to the point where she was digging them just a little bit to make it a little bit uncomfortable. Again, not hurting me. And she kind of pushes me forward through the haunt, and Cam and Isaac are kind of up waiting for us. And then as soon as we catch up, they turn and start going. And this is something else I think that makes it a little bit freaky about the touch paths here, as opposed to other places, is they have a lot of these creatures that have, like, giant arm prosthetic things, or, like, they're, like, gloves, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so, like, you're not really being grabbed by people's hands. A lot of times you're being grabbed by, like, pincers or weird appendages. And so he pushes Cam up against the wall and literally has, like, this full-on, they have awesome bug mask things. I think it's actually the thumbnail for the actual review. Maybe I should have the picture, I'll insert it here. But he, like, put his face up against Cam's face and just, like, breathing into her mouth. While all the while that woman's holding me, just, like, forcing me to watch Cam basically be tortured and pinned up against a wall. It was great.
Oh, my gosh. I did actually legit get frightened enough to scream during the touch pass.
And, like, for people that don't know, Kim does does get startled, but doesn't scream almost ever in haunts. I scream like a bitch.
And it was towards the end of the haunt, actually. And it was funny because, like, they three all went past this.
Yeah.
I thought it was a mannequin. And she was standing at, like, a little, like, desk or something. And she had her hands up like this. And I'm just turning, and I'm kind of looking around, thinking okay, there's somebody around here. And I look at her, and she literally, as she's looking down, she just looks up, looks at me, and I'm like, oh shit. I start walking, and next thing I know, I'm grabbed from behind. She grabbed my arms from behind and legit scared the crap out of me because I didn't know what was going to happen.
A little squealsy-wheelsy.
I did make a squeal,
Yeah, it was funny.
It was intense, but I saw that moment where she, like, came out of her little frozen, I'm just a mannequin, and I was like, oh god, here she comes.
Yeah. Another standout one was there was this person who had what I guess was a tongue, because I've been told by other people this has happened to them, and it was like a tongue that they had, like, in, like, tweezers, I guess.
Yeah.
And they would, like, come up and, like, rub it over your head and stuff. Ew. That was freaky, and it was a little bit moist. There was one that kept coming up and petting me and whispering weird things into my ears, like this. He was using, like, this high-pitched bug voice, and he just whispered, he'd be like, yummy, yummy, like, just like that. And then, like, he, like, left me alone and went, and then as I'm leaving the room, he comes up and starts petting my head again and just goes, bye-bye. It was so creepy, but also kind of funny, because this voice this guy was doing, but it was real whispered, and I'm like, freaking stop. It's so... and of course, the guy with the
box of bugs.
Box of bugs, yeah. That was fun. He grabbed me and Kim and kind of, like, slowly took us to the ground. That was cool. Big Mutant Man didn't get us too much. He did kind of touch us a little bit. We didn't get bear hugged by him, but I do know that people, because there is... Yeah. At one point in the haunt, it's really terrifying the way it's laid out, because there's this hallway that you go to multiple times. And again, watch our full review if you want more details about certain stuff. We're just talking about the touch experience here, but I've heard that he really likes to go and just bear hug people. None of us really got bear hugged. We just kind of got whacked by some of his extra arms or whatever a little bit.
Yeah,
but
it seemed like that night he was just basically just like flailing his arms about like this, because at one point
whacking you with him a little bit.
Because you look down this hallway and the hallway's kind of blocked, so you can't go straight down the hallway. You have to go into these rooms. And I could see him from a distance behind some props that were blocking the way. And he's literally just like,
yeah, he's
like
just,
this.
Yeah, he's having a time.
He was having a time.
We were got by so many times. And the one, what did they keep calling him? The one that kept getting us over and over again. What was his name?
Oh, Brutus.
Yeah, Brutus. Yeah, because he was just like everywhere.
He was everywhere.
Yeah, we think we know who that is, but yeah, that was fun because he's just like, I'm like, we've seen the behind the scenes tour of this place, and still, and I'm like, how have you been in like 5 scenes? Like, stop. Just following, harassing us, so that was cool. But yeah, just overall. And again, it's the same thing as Chippewa, where so it's $6 more for the touch pass, and it's a glow necklace. I highly recommend doing it for the little bit more it costs. And if it becomes too much for you, you can just take it off.
Yeah.
Because I do imagine that it would be too much for people. And I honestly would and I've heard some things happening that didn't even happen to us, like people being put in the hospital beds and stuff. Yeah. If you're a smaller person, there are some that are stronger that will pick you up. So know that going in, but they're not going to hurt you. Like I said, I mean, you might be a little bit uncomfortable because people will pin you up against walls and stuff, but no one's going to hurt you. You're not going to be harmed or anything like that. But it just really adds to the experience. And like, I will say I'm very curious next year when the haunt's going to increase in length by quite a bit, if they're going to keep it this intensity or maybe kind of do more like Chippewa and like dial it down a little bit. Like, I kind of hope they keep it up though, because I really like this intensity and like, even at because we clocked it and it took us about the same amount of time, maybe like 1 to 2 minutes more than it did without the touch pass, because you do get held a little bit more, literally. But like, so because you're being stopped and like people might be just getting thrown around a little bit in your group, and that you might take longer. But yeah, I implore you to try, and if it becomes too much, you strip the glow stick off and they're not gonna grab you anymore. Because I think especially if you go through group, it's just a lot of fun to kind of like see who's gonna get the next thing.
Yeah,
it just adds a complete different element to it, and to the point where like I wasn't even worried about being jump scared. I'm just like, all right,
like who's gonna grab me
who's gonna just run up and try and inject me with something? Because that really did, like, the prop of it, like, I think that's a great idea, and I hope they keep going with it. And it makes sense since it is like that biohazard lab theme, is to have people with these like long needles.
Yeah.
Like I said, and obviously they're fake, but still you see someone running at you with a needle and you're just like, oh shit. Yeah. Like you're in the fetal position, you're like, don't do it. Like, you know, it's just an inherent fear. And I've never been to a haunt that like really does that so much with the needles and stuff. And it freaked me out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something, and I
mean, there's been props in other ones, like obviously they'll touch you with the chainsaw.
Yeah, and like we just went to one recently where the girl, the nurse had needle fingers, but nothing like really like that just came at you full force with the
or that has creatures that are using like these prosthetics and stuff. Like I said, it adds to an element where they're trying to touch you with their weird scissor arm or whatever, and it's like, ugh. Like I don't even want that close to me, let alone on me, but in a good way. But yeah, we just thought, we didn't even plan on making a video, but we had such a good time that we wanted to kind of make a thing, and it seemed like people were interested in our thoughts on the touch pass, so that's why we wanted to make sure we went back there, and I wanted to help support the haunt, you know, go back, because we were kind of like invited the last couple times, so we wanted to like go and like buy tickets for everyone and really like, you know, just kind of show up unannounced, which they did know who we were, so that adds for it as well. But yeah, when you're watching this, there should be at least one more weekend to go check it out. I highly implore that you do. It's also open on Thursdays. Yes. Don't miss on this. Don't wait for next year just because it's going to be longer. Go get a touch pass and just have yourself a good time. Yeah. And if you want to see like our overall ranking of the haunt, go watch the actual review. But the only thing this would do is I would say, I think we gave Scare Factor like a 9 or 9.5 last time. I would probably say if you do the touch pass, it would be a 10. I can't imagine it being much scarier than this, besides them doing things that I hate, like the force feeding bullcrap, which I don't think they'll ever do, thank God. Yeah, let's see, what did we give it?
Scare Factor 9.5.
Yeah, so I definitely would say this bumps it up to the 10 with doing the touch pass. So there you go. We do have quite a few reviews coming up. This will be like the last round of reviews before we do our home haunts. So let us know any like home haunts / yard displays you would like to go to. It's probably just going to be in the Cleveland area because we can, because we only have like so much time to get to them. But yeah, so we are going to have our Maryland reviews coming up after this. So that'll be Marcos Haunted Forest, Bennett's Curse, Laurel's House of Horrors, and Nevermore. Yeah. So you'll have those 4 reviews coming up, and then later on you'll get the haunt reviews. And of course, our Haunt of the Year award will be given out here like in November, early November. So thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you in the next video.
Bye.